Hey folks, this is Mr. Paul sitting in the car talking about miracles and the Course in Miracles. Projection makes perception. You've got to fix your perceptions. Well, there's more to it than this, and a lot of people have become obsessed with correcting perception, and that's not really the problem. It's not really perception that needs to be fixed. There's actually kind of three steps, three things that happen that lead to perception being distorted. It all starts with you. You have beliefs in your mind that are thoughts that are attacking you. I can be attacked by nothing but my thoughts. Your thoughts are self-attacks that are beliefs that you have put there, the belief that you are sinful and guilty and so on. And then, as Jesus says in the Course, you look within first. So you look inside yourself at your own content of your mind, the inner condition, the condition of your mind. You look at your sin, you look at your guilt, the stuff that you've decided is true about you and have done to yourself. Then, step two, you project this stuff as if you can get rid of it by projecting it, as if you're putting it out there, outside of your mind, on the other side of your body, seemingly onto the world, onto other people. And that's only step two. Then, as a result of you projecting, you perceive that there now is a sinful person out there, or there's an attacker, or somebody's guilty. Perception is the third step in this process. Jesus says perception is, how's it go? Perception is a result, not a cause. Perception isn't the cause of anything. So perception is actually an effect. It's a side effect of projection. If you were to try then working with your perception, you're trying to fix your perception or shift your perception, do something to your perception, that isn't really going to fix the problem, because you're working with two steps removed from what the problem is. You attacked yourself, then you projected it, then you perceived it. Projection seems to go out of you as if it's causal, but it's actually a secondary layer of causing, because the first cause is you attacking yourself. Then you take this attack that you've done to yourself, the effects of your attack, and you disown them and project them. And now it seems your projecting is causing. But your projections also are not really the cause of the problem. They are just a secondary step. Projection is an attempt to get rid of and free yourself of and disassociate from the self-attack that you've already performed upon yourself. So now you're using projection as a tool to try to escape from an attack that you've already done within yourself. And now you're using this projection, you put the projection out, and projection makes perception, which means projection causes perception. Perception's therefore happening after you've projected. So you're projecting out, and then the perception comes in. And now you're seeming to see the signals that are coming in from what you put out there. So you first project, then you perceive. Projection is the result, the perception is the result of what you've projected. So your projecting makes the stuff that you perceive. So if you're going to work with perception, you could say, I'm going to stop having wrong perceptions. That doesn't necessarily stop your projections. If you take back your projections, which is a common idea of what it means to forgive, you stop projecting, stop judging others, that doesn't necessarily go all the way either, because that's not fixing the core cause of the projecting. What it's doing is it's withdrawing your attempt to escape from your attack. It's trying to take back you blaming stuff on other people, which is good, it's a good step. But now you're left with the fact that you still have attacked yourself, and you still believe that you are the one who's sinful. So now you've done the good thing of realizing that you're upset, realizing that it's not really about anything outside of you, it's not about other people, it's not about the world, there's no guilt and sin out there, it's really in here. But now you're left with that, and you're still sitting there feeling guilty, feeling sinful, because you haven't actually undone that step. And that's the vital step, that's the starting point of projecting, is this self-attack. So then it comes back to, I need to now undo what I've caused against myself, within myself. It's now you're getting away from the outward picture of an inward condition. You're getting back to the inward condition. So now you need to look at, what is this inward condition inside myself, not anything to do with anyone else, that's coming, that has come from me towards myself, inside my mind. My mind needs healing. My attitude towards myself needs correction. And you are even a step further back than the attack and the sin and the guilt that's in your mind, because you put it there. You caused it to show up. The guilt and the sin in your mind is an effect of you choosing and causing against yourself. So even dealing with what's in you, the reason that you're fixing the stuff that's in you, your sin, is to undo that, because it's not really real cause. Your sin is not causing guilt. Your guilt is not causing the fear that's in you. You are causing the sin and the guilt and the fear, and you are the cause. You are the origin and the starting point of the whole thing. So it's your mind that needs correction in order to stop creating sin, guilt, and fear, attacking yourself. Your attack thoughts, my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. You can only be, I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. So your thoughts that are coming from you as the cause are attacking you and producing these illusory sensations of guilt and sin and death and so on inside you before you even project. Because up here in your mind, there's an attitude problem that needs to be fixed. There's a belief that you've chosen to believe is truth that needs to be undone and recognized as false in order for you to stop generating attack thoughts against yourself. That's the starting point. So if you are the cause, you create your thoughts. Your attack thoughts are like a second thing. Your attack thoughts produce these beliefs in sin and guilt and fear. You then, that's the third step. Now you're projecting, that's 4. Now you're perceiving, that's 5 times removed from the starting point of what has caused your perception to be showing you things that aren't true. So it's the whole process of this undoing is not really about trying to tackle the perceptions. That's only the ending point of this long chain of processes. That's often your starting point. I'm having a perception of something, that somebody's doing something, the world's attacking me, something's gone wrong. You're starting there, and you think you have to fix your perceptions, but your perceptions are only wrong because of your projections. Your projections are only wrong because of what you have put in yourself, these blocks to awareness and these attacks and these forms and illusions that you've put in yourself. Those things are only there because of your attack thoughts, and your attack thoughts are only there because you are the cause of all this. So if you want to really get to the core of the problem and fix all of that, you got to go back to the cause. You create beliefs. Your beliefs create attack thoughts. Your attack thoughts produce this attack upon yourself that creates states and conditions in you of sin and unworthiness and so on. Those things project, and then the projection causes perception. So if you're just thinking, okay, the course is about fixing my perception, it's not really something that you need to be that concerned with, because you're 5 times removed from the real problem. The problem isn't really your perception. Yes, you're having false perceptions, and your perception's showing you hell, it's showing you people looking at sinful and guilty. The world seems to be dark and terrible because of the distortion in your perception. But really, if you fix something that came before, it's going to automatically correct what comes after because of the chain of cause and effect. If you correct your projecting, it will correct perception. If you correct your self-attack, it will correct your attempt to project at all, to even make perception at all. If you correct your attack thoughts, it will correct your symptoms of attack in yourself. And then if you correct your mind and your beliefs, it will stop the attack thoughts from even happening, because your mind is now clear and it's sane and it's healthy and it's not generating attack thoughts. So it's important to realize what is the real start point of all that mess. What is it that really needs to be corrected? Your beliefs in your mind are much closer to the problem than what you end up perceiving. Your perception will naturally and automatically take care of itself if you fix where the perceptions are coming from. Your distortions of seeing attack and sin outside of you and blaming things on others, which is very far down the process, won't even occur if you nip it in the bud at the origin by undoing this belief that is generating this entire distorted system. Fix the real problem, which is a decision in the mind, a choice to believe that something is true that is not true about you, that you believe you're sinful, you believe you're guilty. Those are not true, but you, by believing them, you are making them true. And so that truth now dictates what will happen further down the line and result in eventually having perceptions coming back to you from the world, bouncing off the world back to you, as seeing sin and guilt in everything you see, because you're putting it there, because you're projecting it, because you believe it about yourself, because you've attacked yourself with your attack thoughts, because you have a belief that you're a sinner. So a lot of people seem to think that perception causes things. It can't even remotely be a cause. Jesus says it is not a cause, it is the result of your projections. It's almost like it's just an effect. It doesn't even do anything. Perception is just sort of almost like how the body senses work, that your body senses the environment, signals come in from the outside, you have particles of light bouncing off things and coming into your eyes as messengers to sort of tell you what's out there. That's perceiving. It's just sort of a picking up on or registering what seems to be out there. And it has very little to do with causing anything at all. Your perceptions, if they are very distorted and you're projecting and perceiving sin and guilt, you might then have a reaction to what you've perceived. And now, as a result of that reacting to what you've perceived, like having a fear reaction, someone seems to be threatening me and now I'm getting scared, you may now start having another entire sequence of believing and projecting and blaming and perceiving on top of the process that came before it that resulted in you thinking that they're attacking you. You now start having even another whole layer of projecting and blaming and making it worse. So you got to unravel all of this stuff to get back to the cause. Ideas leave not their source. None of this stuff ever leaves your mind. Your mind isn't just inside your body. That's an illusion. That's part of the separation device. Your mind is everywhere. It is bigger than the universe. You're in other people. When you're naturally in your state of joined minds and oneness, you literally are in your brothers. You're in everyone else's bodies. You are everywhere. You are omnipresent. That is your natural state, to be infinite and unlimited. Therefore, all of this stuff that you do, where you have false beliefs and you attack yourself with thoughts, and then you start projecting. You project because you think that if I would just disown this and displace it outwards and put responsibility for it onto someone else, onto a separate self, I, as a separate self, will escape from the consequences and be free from the guilt and therefore be innocent. And so you scapegoat and you blame, thinking that this is getting this stuff outside of your mind. You think that your mind is encased in your body and that it's all in here, so you need to get it outside the limits, the perimeter, put it onto some other person that's not me, some person where you don't think you are in them. You don't see yourself in them. You don't realize you're over there as well. You're outside your body as well. And so you put it there as if you're believing that it's now outside you and separate from you, to disassociate yourself from it, to disown it, and to sort of try to not be connected to it, and believing that by doing that you're actually taking it out of your mind and putting it outside you. So now you have been exonerated and you're free from the guilt. It's no longer you that's sinful, and it's in someone else. Now it's their problem and it's their stuff. But that is entirely delusional, because your mind being very big encompasses that person. And all that you've done, all of this activity is taking place inside your mind. You cannot experience or see anything unless it's inside your mind. And Jesus says, both heaven and earth are in your mind. The whole universe is smaller than your mind. You maintain the world in your mind with your thoughts. Your mind is bigger than the universe. These little white things, by the way, it's just snowing a little bit. It's the last effort of winter to hang on. And so what you're doing there is you're splitting your mind, sectioning off a part of you that you say is innocent, sectioning off another part of you that you say is where the sin and guilt are, disassociating from the sin guilt part to the point where you don't recognize it's you, and you think, that's not me, doesn't have anything to do with me, that's somebody else, that's another separate person, and a separate alien will that's not my will. And then you experience that there's this separate thing that is guilty and sinful, and it's your enemy, and you don't want anything to do with it, and it's someone else. And you think that that someone else has got something to do with another brother, another son of God that seems to be out there in a body. It's got nothing to do with them at all, and this thing still hasn't left your mind. Your mind has just become split, and now there's you, piece of you, and then there's this displaced, disassociated sin and guilt that you now project. You think that it's outside you, so you think, oh, it's outside my body. It must be out there in the environment. And so you put it, your mind believes that it literally is outside your body. And even though that means you're here and you're also way out there, and it's still inside your mind. It's just over there instead of over here. And you try to attach it to another person and accuse them of being the one that caused this. And you blame your brother for this thing. So you but accuse your brother of your own sins. And the Course talks about how this disassociated piece of yourself that's in you, ideas do not leave their source. Your idea of sin has not left your mind. You just think it is outside you, but it's still inside you, because you're big. And you now have this shadow figure that you're overlaying on top of your innocent, holy brother, who has done nothing to you because he's not the cause of you. God's the cause of you. Your brother's equal. And now you're accusing them, and because of that, what they call projecting, that sort of is like disowning, disassociating, separating off, trying to say, I'm going to hate this part of my mind and stay hidden in this other part of my mind and keep them apart, the persona and the shadow. And it's all taking place within you. So even though you try to escape from your self-attack by pretending that it doesn't have anything to do with you, inventing a separate self to put it onto, projecting it, putting it some distance between you and it, hasn't actually made a difference. It doesn't actually get it outside your mind. It just makes you believe that it's got nothing to do with you, and that affects your projecting, it affects your perceiving, and now your mind is having a perception or an experience as if that stuff is not yours, it's nothing to do with yourself, it's some other separate thing. And that is a split mind, because it still is a part of your mind. It's just that you've increased the separation in your mind by projecting. You've emphasized the ways that you are cut off from your self-attack. You've attacked yourself, and then you've taken that attack and you've tried to section it off and dump it onto what seems to be a very far away target that's still inside you to try to disown it and pretend that you didn't try to sin on purpose. Which is part of a whole mechanism of deliberately sinning, pretending that you didn't want to sin and that you feel guilty and remorseful when you really wanted to sin, covering up the sin with guilt, covering up the guilt with even more denial, pretending that you're not guilty, you're not the guilty one, you're just scared, you're afraid because someone else is guilty, and that you're being attacked by someone else, and you're innocent. This is the face of innocence that you put over the guilt. Within your mind, to try to pretend that this one part of your mind is innocent while the other part's guilty, but believing that the guilty part is not inside you, it's in someone else. And there's the power, there's the will, there's the attacker, there's the causer, there's the chooser and the sinner doing stuff to or against or in conflict with the rest of you that you've associated with, that you think is all of yourself. That's not. It's only part of you inside your mind. And now there's a war happening inside your mind where you are opposed to yourself. You've got another part of your own will willing against you, part of your own power that you've sectioned off and separated from, that you believe is not yours, that seems to have power over you, that you're threatened by, where you're doing the threatening. And once you've done this and you've sectioned off this enemy in your mind, you now have a causer that is causing towards you from the outside in, seemingly, and that now produces reactions of fear and effects in you, symptoms of sickness, upsets and fears and so on, as seeming responses to that cause. But you're putting the cause there and you're putting the effects there. This is all happening inside you. And so all that's really, and so now you're having perceptions of something's coming at me from a separate part of my mind that I've projected by disowning as an attempt to get rid of what I was already doing to myself more directly. Now I'm just doing it to myself indirectly. And that's supposed to be a way of convincing yourself that you're getting away with it and that you've sinned and now you're innocent. To escape from responsibility for the power of choice to make another decision, so that you can keep the sin, keep the real problem that is further back in the chain of events, back in your mind, prior to perception, prior to projection, prior to the disassociation, prior to denial, prior to the attack that you've done on yourself, prior to your attack thoughts, prior to your beliefs even that you put there. You are the cause of all this stuff. And so you are the one that some people call it the decision maker, but you with free will who have a choice. And the secret of salvation, this is where this comes in. It applies at the highest level, the starting point of the whole system, that you're doing this all to yourself. You're doing the attack thoughts, you're doing the beliefs, you're doing the hurt, you're doing the projection of the hurt, you're doing the perceiving of the projected hurt. You're doing all this to yourself. And if you would just change your mind and stop attacking yourself with those thoughts and beliefs, you would be free from all of the things that come afterwards. Your perception will clear up by itself. without you having to directly do anything to perception. It will clear up because you're no longer projecting or believing in or doing to yourself or having thoughts about things that aren't true of you. The atonement cures the starting point misbelief and allows your mind to only love. So now you will only extend love all the way through that process and only see love and cannot be attacked because you're not hurting yourself. So it runs pretty deep, and it goes, so the course is not really about changing your perceptions as such. It's that they change on their own as a result of not projecting shit. Your projection stops happening. You don't need to project when there's nothing to project. So by fixing the self-attack against yourself and undoing the belief that you are sinful, you don't have anything to project and perceive, to overlay onto the world or people. So you remove that from yourself, and now you're clear. Your mind becomes clear and empty of that. And that's purification and healing. And if you get all the way with that, you're going to the atonement, because the atonement is the truth, the real truth, and your willingness to accept it results in you not attacking yourself ever again, not producing attack thoughts or beliefs or mistaken beliefs that would ever even lead to the need to escape or project or see things in a backwards way. It's your mind that needs healing. And all this stuff, even having backwards perceptions, is a state of mental illness that needs to be corrected. But the way you correct it is by correcting the cause of it. And the cause of perception is projection. So if you want to really correct the issue, you don't attack the thing itself. You have to realize that that thing itself is not really the cause of the problem. It's the effect of something else that happened before that even came about. And this is also true with fear and guilt and sin, that you think that fear is a problem and I've got to do something about my fear. I've got to tackle the fear. I've got to address the fear and undo the fear. The problem is not the fear. The problem is the guilt. The guilt is creating the fear, because you believe that you're guilty, you believe that you deserve to be punished. And so you're threatening yourself and making fear. If you would not believe that you're guilty, you cannot be afraid. You've got no reason to. If you're innocent, you have no reason to be afraid of punishment. Fear just disappears when the guilt is gone. And the same with guilt, that the guilt isn't really the problem either. Guilt is caused by the belief that you've sinned. So if you're trying to tackle the guilt, okay, getting rid of the guilt, it's going to get regenerated by the belief that you've sinned if you don't deal with the sin. For behind the guilt was put there to make the sin unconscious, because guilt is a form of denial, just as fear is a form of denial. They put these layers of denial in your mind to try to cover up the real problem and the source and the cause of the problem. So then you've got to get underneath the guilt and realize this guilt is not causing anything. This guilt is just an effect. The guilt is the effect of me believing that I'm a sinner. The sin is not a problem. The sin is an effect. The sin is not causing anything. sin is an effect of you believing that it's possible to be separate. It's possible to reverse cause and effect, has led to the authority problem and the belief that you can and have attacked God, which is impossible. So it's really the belief that you can even sin at all that is the cause of sin, or the belief that you have sinned. If it's not possible to sin, you can't have sinned. So the belief that I'm a sinner is an effect of a prior step that in the chain of reactions that says it's even possible that I could even sin. If you can get to where you realize sin isn't even possible, I haven't even sinned. That's the atonement idea. It's the idea of the truth that nothing's happened and you haven't really done anything. Therefore, you're not sinful. If you're not sinful, you can't be guilty. If you're not sinful, you can't be afraid. If you're not sinful, you can't be punished. If you're not sinful, you can't suffer and die. If nothing's happened to your immortality and your innocence, you must still be innocent. So there's no need for attack thoughts. There's no need for believing bad things about yourself. There's no need to project those things, and there's no need to perceive those things. All the other steps are just instantly switched off when you correct something that is closer to the cause of the problem. So you've got to try to get closer to what is the real source of the problem, and the cause of all problems is the same. It's always that starting point of believing that sin is possible and that you have separated from God and that you've done something and you've caused attack, and that it's true of you that you're a sinner and that you're not innocent. That is the source and the cause of all problems, all projections, all false perceptions, all cause-effect problems, all level confusion, all magical beliefs, all self-attack starts with you believing that you're not as God created you and you've stopped being innocent. So to heal your mind and to really undo the separation, it happens in the atonement. Only the atonement can be said to cure. It's in that getting all the way, unraveling all this mess, questioning your perceptions, taking back the projection, looking behind the projection to see what you believe about yourself, undoing those false beliefs, stopping believing that that's truth, being mistaken, having willingness, opening up to some real truth and some healing, getting past guilt and sin, recognizing that God's truth is true of you, the atonement truth is true of you, and getting cured. And it's in that curing, in the atonement truth, that's the causal point. The real origin of all suffering and all attack thoughts and all false beliefs is in denying the atonement. So when you get up there and you get back to the real starting point of all your suffering, behind your attack thoughts, behind your beliefs, that's when you get some real mind healing. And Jesus talks about how you're not really changing your mind unless you're switching between the entire ego thought system and God's thought system. And it happens in atonement. It happens where you're deciding that you accept the truth or you deny the truth. There's this little switch, and if you deny the truth, you will start going into false beliefs, attack thoughts, projecting, perceiving. So that's where the real change happens. And you might have all this preparation where you're trying to take back your projections and not blame it on other people. You're trying to own it. You're trying to be responsible. Realizing that even you haven't done this either. You're not guilty and sinful. and getting down to the root cause behind all this, your belief in separation and sin, all of that is still within the ego thought system. You haven't really fully switched over to the Holy Spirit system yet. You go through those processes, that purification, in order to get yourself back up to forgiveness, atonement, true perception, salvation. They're all the same thing, same state of mind, the starting point, the origin of the separation. And in accepting the real truth in the atonement, that is when you actually are really changing your mind and choosing away from ego fully to choose God. That's when you're choosing heaven. You're choosing reality. You're choosing to accept the truth instead of all this other convoluted chain of causes and effects and layers of denial and stuff that you put on top of yourself. That covers up yourself, the root of everything. So in practicing the Course, in practicing being forgiving, in practicing applying principles to your situations, how does this apply to this? How does it apply to me in this situation? In practicing willingness and being mistaken, admitting the truth, undoing denial, removing those blocks to awareness, looking at how everything in the ego is just an effect and not a cause. All of that work is getting you corrected to get your mind back into the position of causality and power, where you're realizing that you caused all of this. All of these distortions and projections and misperceptions came from you because you originated them in your mind with your attack thoughts and your false beliefs. And if you would not have done those things, none of this would have happened. And by choosing again and choosing to not do those things and not have those beliefs, it switches off the ego. It switches off all of the consequences and effects that come after that mistake. Undo the belief in sin, that you've sinned at all, and it instantly takes care of guilt and fear and all kinds of stuff, just vanishes from your mind instantly because it doesn't have anything to be based on. It's like uprooting the ego at the roots. Getting corrected where the cause of the problem really is in the mind. And it's all about you. It's all about your self-attack. It's all about what you've done to yourself, what you're doing to yourself, which is the secret of salvation, that all this stuff, all punishment and suffering is coming from you because you're the start of it all. You're the one who began and caused and put in place all of these other scenarios and states of mental illness, physical sickness, suffering, punishment, fear and guilt, being attacked, thinking and perceiving backwards that the world is against you when it's really you against yourself. Correcting this entire mess to get into the atonement truth and to believe it, to want it, to choose it, to recognize it as the real truth and not be confused about these other things that seem like truth that are not truth. Sorting out and developing trust and becoming clear about what is God's real truth about me and why am I believing otherwise. And you'll also find that attack thoughts come from and are generated by beliefs. Or in some way you use these attacking thoughts to make beliefs. There's a connection between the two. If you believe that something untrue is true, instantly that reverses cause and effect, puts you at the effect of an external something, begins the entire setup of the process of projection. Your mind starts splitting and you start getting a piece of you that was causing, that is now being affected and caused by. So now you have a split mind, and now that begins the process of emphasizing that you have an external enemy. Kind of losing my thought now. All of this, my mind has been wiped. The belief and the thought, the belief, putting that belief in place is holding your mind in a backwards state that is going to cause you, from the outside in, cause you to have effects and thoughts of being affected. That you've projected this causality outside yourself, and now you are getting caused by yourself from the outside in, that you think is somebody else. It will generate thoughts of reaction, thoughts of being attacked, thoughts of fear, thoughts of somebody else doing it against your will and it being unfair, justifications for anger, your mind will start generating all kinds of fearful thinking because of your backwards perception, but really because of your backwards believing and your backwards thoughts, your attack thoughts. And because you're holding that belief, it's going to keep generating negative thoughts. So if you now try to deal with, I'm having negative thoughts, and now I'm trying to deal with my negative thoughts, trying to meditate on my thoughts or watch them go by, or whatever, try not to believe them, you're kind of working against the grain, going against yourself, because you're the one making the thoughts. Your mind's state of backwardsness is generating attack thoughts and making thoughts of fear. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you go up against an enemy and you have an argument or something, or somebody pisses you off, or somebody gives you bad news, or whatever, how you perceive it, and then afterwards you start having fearful thoughts, and they keep coming back and they keep popping up, and you keep thinking about this thing and this person, and you just can't fucking let it go. And no matter how much you try, you just seem to keep having the same thought reactions, these flashes of fear, these worrisome, doubtful thinkings, and they keep popping up. And why do they keep popping up? They pop up because your perception is back to front. You have a belief underneath the perception and the projecting, a belief that says, cause is outside myself. I am not the cause of what's happening to me. I'm not doing this to me. Something else is doing this to me against my will, and it's having power over me, and it's threatening me, and therefore I'm justified in being afraid, and therefore I'm going to have thoughts that line up with being afraid. And so the thoughts come out of your beliefs, your uncorrected, unhealed attack thoughts and beliefs about yourself generate negative thinking. In order to stop the negative thinking, you've got to correct the cause of the problem, which is the beliefs in the mind. Believing things are true of you that are not true. Believing you are at the effect of things that you are not at the effect of. When you correct the causality and own the causality and stop attacking yourself, there are no attack thoughts. There are no negative thoughts. There are no fear thoughts. They just stop. You don't have to manage them or try to transcend them or watch them go by. They just aren't there. They don't even happen because you are not making them. You're not causing them because you don't believe that you are under attack because you're not attacking yourself. When you believe that you're being attacked, you're believing in, going along with, buying into this idea that I'm attackable and I'm under attack, which by itself is an attack upon you by yourself. It's attack. My attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. Nothing to do with anybody else. My self-attack is the only thing that needs to be healed. Loving yourself is the only thing you need to become better at. But the Course would say you can't teach the meaning of love. You've got to remove the blocks to the awareness of the presence of love, because the love is always in you, because you are love permanently. You've just covered it up with denial. So your challenge really is to undo and remove these false beliefs and denials that are blocking you from realizing just how lovable you are, and therefore learning that you can be loved, you are loved, God loves you. Loving yourself as your first and primary focus of what you work on, that you don't even really have to work on forgiving other people and undoing stuff you've projected. Holy Spirit takes care of the consequences of your wrong decision if you let Him. You only need to really focus on, what am I doing to myself? How am I hurting myself? You cannot be hurt unless you hurt yourself. You cannot die without your own consent. Secret of salvation, doing it to yourself. So, figuring out, why am I doing this to myself? What am I believing? What am I choosing against myself? How am I hurting myself? How can I love myself more and believe in God's truth about me and accept that I am worthy and loved by God fully, unconditionally? That's getting into healing the real problem. The real separation is I'm feeling this coming up in me. Your self-harm, your attack on yourself, your attempt to destroy yourself, your low opinion of yourself, your self-hatred, your not wanting to be loved, your rejection of God's unconditional love, and your unwillingness to be free. All the ways that you are against yourself is what has to be undone, because you haven't really done anything wrong. You're not a sinner. You've never sinned. Nothing real's ever been threatened. You haven't changed reality. You still are with God. It's just that you need to let go of trying to do otherwise and allow yourself to receive God's love, receive the atonement, receive miracles, so that you can give them to others. This is why accepting the atonement is your number one responsibility for yourself, because you need to love yourself and learn to undo your self-attack, which will take care of all the projections and the perceptions, so that you can regain your sanity, so that you can be helpful to others, and then you can become part of the atonement plan and part of the Great Crusade to listen, learn, and do, to help your brothers to also love themselves and accept healing as well. So it's all about your self-attack and undoing your self-attack. Getting to the core of your belief that you deserve to die because you think you've sinned against God. You haven't. There is no sin. You've never changed anything real. God is unaffected, and you're still as God created you. If you're still as God created you and you can fully accept that with no other contrary beliefs, you're accepting the atonement, and you will then go home, wake up in God's arms, being kissed extensively. I guess that's a good stopping point. So projection does make perception, but beliefs make projections. Attack thoughts make beliefs, or the other way around. Beliefs make attack thoughts, and you make the beliefs and the attack thoughts. So you are the key, you are the one that chooses, you are the one that decides whether or not to attack yourself, whether or not to accept your divinity, your immortality. And so it's all to do with you having the power to choose that you don't have to suffer and die ever again because you don't want to, you don't choose to. And so you set yourself free. The atonement is a relief. So, A Course in Miracles is about getting to the cause of the problem. The cause is in you, and you can change your mind, you can choose again, and nothing can stop you. So, when you're ready, ready and willing, you're already able. Jesus says you're already able to perform miracles. You just need to get ready and willing. God bless, love and light, and talk to you some other time, folks. Bye-bye.